All right, everyone, good morning. Happy March Madness to everyone and everything that's going on in life. If I could have your attention as we get started here. Throughout the course of this year, we've chosen as a school to gather on Tuesdays and Fridays and to try and walk through spiritual life in some way together as a group of over 600 students. And in the process of that, we've been talking about the kingdom of God, and we've been talking about parables, and you guys have been willing to open up in conversations after chapel to venture towards things that some high school students do not do. And that would be to venture towards who you really are, the beauty of that, and also the pain of that. And we had a shift in our campus and in our school a little bit at the end of January and at the beginning of February. And I think that God used what we have called Spiritual and Community Life Week in such a way to shake some of the people at this school. And there was conversation about what it would be like to follow Jesus in a little bit different way, in a way that was real, in a way that was very transparent, and in a way that moved from point A to point B and did it together. And I don't know if I've said thank you enough for that, but you didn't have to do that. You could have just come to an extra chapel every day and then come to chapels following throughout the spring. But I think that some of you said, hey, this is going to be different. This place is going to be different. And we are going to engage in a new way, in a fresh way that is different than most campuses across America. So thank you for that. And when Josh Riebock emailed me a couple weeks ago and said he was going to be in the area and he'd be willing to come back, it made me realize and think that the Wheaton Academy community can be about much more than just the people that are here, but it can include the people that have graduated from here and gone on to do different things. And at Wheaton Academy, we talk a lot about shaping things, making things, forming things, creating things, and doing it in a way that is gospel-focused. And we think that Josh, as an alum of Wheaton Academy, has gone out and done a lot of those things. His book can be found here today, in the back and then in the atrium, and he'll be signing some copies. They're $15. It's cash, credit, or check. And I think that even the purchase of the book would support him in a really unique way. But even as I thought of how we would kind of invite him up on stage today, I thought what a cool thing if we expressed to him, even in how we welcome him, how thankful we were for what he was willing to bring to our campus, and how thankful we are for what he's choosing to do on a regular basis. So, would you help me in welcoming and thanking Josh Riebock?
Good morning, Wheaton Academy. Woo! I love you, Professor Burek. You guys, it's awesome to be here. It's such a privilege. I'm really excited, and you guys, I believe I'm cared about here, and that makes it easy to come back. So, like Jeff said, Heroes and Monsters actually did come out. It came out 2 weeks ago, and all the support you guys have given me on that, whether that's through an email or a phone call or some obscure blurb on Twitter, I cherish all of those nuggets. They are delicious. And so we've been on the tour for about 2 weeks now, and I'm tired, but I put some product in my hair this morning, and so I'm ready to go. And so today, I want to talk about the difference between humans and cows. Profound difference. And to do this, we're going to start with a guy named Moses. Moses lived a long time ago in the Old Testament. And what happens with Moses is he's living in Egypt. He runs into a bunch of problems. He ends up killing a man. People find out, and so he's forced to flee into the wilderness. So he goes out there. He meets a wonderful wilderness woman. Guys, always find the best women in the wilderness. Fact. So he goes out into the wilderness, finds this jungle lady, and after he meets her, they get married, and he's like, hey, father-in-law, I need a job. And the father-in-law says, well, wilderness son, I have a perfect job for you. And you know what he offers him? Shepherd. Okay? This is one of the most underrated majors in college, shepherding. But Moses decides to go for it, and he says, you are going to watch my sheep. And so Moses goes out there, and he's watching sheep, and then one day something happens. He's just kind of going about his day, going about his life. Everything's normal. The sheep are bang. Little, walking cotton balls are out there with him. And then something happens, okay? And this is weird. This is like technology. And I had a Razor phone until like a month ago, so this might take me like an hour to figure out. Okay, click. Bam, look at that. Okay, so here's what happens. Moses is out there with the sheep, and he's standing there. And then all of a sudden, the Lord incinerates a shrub. I love the way God decides to get our attention. I would not be surprised if God is trying to get your attention right now in life, but you are expecting him to do it in a different way, and so you're missing the way he is making himself evident to you now. See, for so long, Moses knew the stories. He's like, God shows up this way, and he shows up this way. And when God is making an appearance, it looks like this, and this, and this. And then one day God says with the angels, guys, let's do something different. Let's just totally, okay, brainstorm. All right, Michael, get up there. You're going to be our note taker. He gets up there. What if we did this? What if we did this? And then one of the angels goes, what if, got it, incinerate a bush. Done, meeting adjourned. And so God lights this bush on fire. And Moses is out there, sheeping. This is how you sheep, by the way. I am horrible at charades. I love you. So he's out there, and here's what happens. I love what it says. It says, there the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within a bush. Now, this scripture does not exactly paint Moses as the most intelligent of human beings, okay? Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up. So Moses thought, I will go over and see this strange sight. Why the bush does not burn up. It's like, caveman, Moses talked good. Okay, but this is what he does. He sees, oh my gosh, the bush is on fire, but he does something fascinating. You know what he does? This is amazing what he does, and it's something that very few people actually ever do in their life. You know what he does? He goes towards this mystery. He goes towards it. It's like the tendency when something like gets us in life and it appears and it captures us, the tendency is to go around it because it's not what we intended on. The tendency is to go, well, that's cool. It's kind of a weird thing to see, but I'm going to go over here because I'm thinking I'm supposed to go over here. Moses doesn't do that. He is moved not by the presence of God. He doesn't even know it's God. He doesn't go, I'll bet Jesus, who's coming in 2,000 years, is in the bush. He's not moved by that. He's moved by a different kind of force. A force that is placed inside the heart of every human being that has ever been born. A force that seems to fade as we get older, as we become adults. You know what the force is called? Curiosity. He is moved by this basic and yet essential force to life, and it's called curiosity. He says, what is this thing in front of me? I have to find out. When's the last time you were moved by curiosity? I mean, when's the last time you found yourself engaged in your life enough that you approached something that you weren't intending on approaching? Now, I've told some of you the story about Kristen and I got married, sha-la-la-la, Ryan Gosling notebook. It was all very awesome. We moved down to Texas, Taco Bell along the road trip. We got there, we moved in. I forgot to hire movers. Kristen had to help me carry a big screen TV up 2 flights of stairs. Romantic. And then I was working in this church. And a lot of you guys know that after I was in this church for about a year, I thought I needed to leave. I was like, something is drawing me. There's something else that I think I need to go after. And so I want to read you a bit of what was happening in my mind as all this went on. So I feel like as I sit down here, this is like Josh reading time, so like cue the Mr. Rogers music. This is like a very cool thing. I should be wearing like a velvet jacket with like a pipe. Hello, children. The Berenstain Bears. But I want to read you this, and I want to warn you up front. There is a talking cow in this part, just so we get that. Every now and again, people are like, was that a cow? Yes. So, where I'm going to pick this up, I'm not going to read for very long, but where I pick this up, I have not gone to work on a day. I've decided I need to find out, okay, what I'm born to do. I need to find out my dreams. And so here's what it says. When I wake up the next morning, the sun is coming through the blinds in horizontal lines. I'm stretched across the bed, lips sagging apart, arms limp. Stick a hook through my cheek and I'd be a dead fish. Sweeping my hand over the sheets, I feel for Kristen and find nothing. She's gone, already at work. My eyes move up toward the overhead ceiling fan. It's silver and sleek as if installed by a handyman from the future. I look at it and consider my future. I look at it and consider what I'm doing now. I look at it again, considering the picture of me turning 50 without having ever pursued a dream of mine, having left my dreams behind in the long list of excuses that I use to justify it. This is a future that I don't want. This isn't how it's supposed to be. I mean, come on, I'm me. I'm supposed to be different. I'm supposed to rage against the machine, to overthrow the pattern of Xerox living, to run in a herd of pink elephants, stomping mundane things into pancakes beneath us. This isn't right. This is a future that has to be altered, so I make an abrupt and impulsive decision. I'm not going to work at all today. I'm playing hooky. And if I find the answers that I'm searching for, then bam, I may never go to work again. Today I'm going to drill down into myself, into the way down places where my passions and dreams live, to see what I find. And whatever I find, if that's writing or something else, I will make it my quest. Suddenly I feel carbonated. I burst out of bed, and without brushing my teeth, because obviously there's no such time for trivial things, I begin wandering around the condo, thinking, more wondering, ready to bask in the glory of my rising future. 3 hours later, my dream is still evading me, and my stomach is a pack of growling dogs. Lunchtime already. I order Greek food, tipping handsomely just to prove that I'm not only generous, but also doing quite well financially. On the couch, I eat my gyro sandwich without chewing, hoping rapid food consumption will stimulate my heart and mind. The phone rings. It's Garth. Obviously, this is a sign. With his bright eyes and scruffiness and backwards hats, Garth is my most handsome friend. People often comment on how handsome he is. A face jockey, Gus calls him. It's like the weirdest term ever to call someone. You're a face jockey. Anyway. Garth is a painter, and he acts like one would expect a painter to act. Forsaking shoes, smoking cheap cigarettes, telling it like it is, asking unconventional questions, wondering how things work, all that. His heart is as gracious a host as a dream could ask for. No wonder so many dreams choose to live inside him. For a dream, Garth is the Ritz. I wipe cucumber sauce from my chin with my sleeve because I'm too lazy to go find a napkin. Garth's name keeps blinking on my phone. It's true, he is one of the most fascinating people I've ever met, and I know exactly why. He's fascinating because he's fascinated. He lets himself be fascinated. This has been true since forever. The most fascinating people in the world are the people who are most fascinated by the world, and those same people are the ones who change the world. No one who's ever influenced this planet has ever done so without being remarkably curious. Oh, I am smart. If only someone were here to listen to all these things that I know. I ignore his call. There is no time. I set the phone aside and I keep drilling down deeper into myself, into my passions. What do I want to do? What do I want to do? What do I want to do? I keep asking myself the question, but only because I'm hoping that if I ask enough times, my answer will eventually change. I keep asking only because I want to walk away from what I already know to be true. I don't like my current answer. My dream is obvious, so obvious. I want to be a writer, and that's beautiful in 1,000 ways, but it's not realistic. It's on par with wanting to be a ninja, a ventriloquist, a Ghostbusters. Clearly, I need to scale back, find something else, something more grown up, something that someone who wears tucked-in shirts might do, something more attainable. From a cluttered drawer, I grab a pen and I begin scribbling alternative ideas. Maybe I'll work at a different church, a bigger church. Maybe I'll get a different position in another church, or possibly my church. Maybe Starbucks, part-time. Construction, part-time. Garbage man? Maybe I'll start a cover band. No, that's stupid. I don't know how to play any instruments. I throw the pen. Stupid pen. Everything about this list is depressing. This is the most unimaginative list ever. It's pathetic and wrong. You know what? Maybe this whole dreaming thing just isn't for me. Maybe I should go back to my church job, which is a good job, by the way. Really, I should be so lucky. Yes, I'll forget all about this. That's exactly what I'll do. I'll get dressed because I'm still not dressed. I'll brush my teeth, and then I'll go to work. I'll sneak up the back staircase and play it cool as if I've been working hard, squeezing from my brain's udders every last drop of creative milk, preparing something massive, all for the sake of our collective cause. No one in the office will have to know what I've been doing. All will be forgiven. Someone is knocking at the front door. I open it. Well, hey there. I don't say anything back. Hello? Again, I say nothing, but I smell everything. Oh my gosh, he's pungent and smacking his lips over and over and over. And his body, well, his body occupies half the hallway with his massive head and his nose wet, flaring. Oh my gosh, I'm staring. I'm conscious that I'm staring. I can't help it. Do I stare at people often? I've never seen a talking cow before. And sure, you'd think that by now no amount of absurdity could surprise me, but I guess that's one of the greatest marvels of this world. Life has a limitless supply of rabbits in her hat. In this world, the things that can't possibly happen always happen. I'm still staring. Everything all right? Oh, sorry. Can I help you? Can I come in? You want to come into my house? Well, yeah, if that's all right. It's just that yeah, I am. Got something against that? I mean, would this be more easy or more plausible if I was an invisible spirit, or maybe if I wore a monocle? How about if I arrived in a DeLorean? What? No, come on. It's not like that. Why would I care if you're you know what? It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. It's not like that. Good, then it shouldn't be a problem if I come in. But it's just that you're talking to me. Wow, nothing gets past you. Well, what do you want? I mean, what are you doing here? No. What are you doing here, Josh? I mean, I guess Josh, you know what the strangest part of being alive is? I mean, I'm sure I'd have to think about it. It's a total matter of opinion. No, it's not. The strangest part of being alive is that none of us chose to be. It's strange, ain't it? I mean, I suppose. It's a shame, but some people can't accept that. They can't accept that their life was somebody else's idea. Got news for you, Josh. You didn't choose to be here, and neither did I. I had about as much to do with being born as I did with the construction of the Egyptian pyramids. And for you, let me guess how it went. Your parents met, shared a milkshake, some date to a park, maybe necked and snuggled, and then some, setting science and a string of miracles into motion, and it all ended with you. You entered this world not against your will, but certainly not because of it. All right, so what are you saying? You're here and that's that. That part wasn't your choice, but the rest is. You're here and now you have to decide what you're going to do. Out of the million different lives you could live, which one you want to try. I want to talk to you about your passions, your dreams. Of course he does. Well, Josh, racing through my mind is that old adage about curiosity and cats. Surely that applies here. A kindergarten teacher would point that out. Yes, there are a million reasons I shouldn't let a talking cow into my house. I get it. Curiosity kills. But can't the lack of curiosity also kill? This, after all, could be the missing piece, the missing element, like oxygen for a fire. Aha! Yet again, I am smart. Curiosity is oxygen for the dream. And with that, I forget all about going back to work and any terrible alternative list. A breakthrough is beginning now. I know it because every dream begins with a simple act of curiosity. Every scientific advancement, every romance, every new taste, and every burning bush starts here with a simple act. This will be mine. So I move aside and he clomps in, chewing and chewing, his hooves tracking mud all over the floor, and he sits down on the couch. Oh gosh, it's leather. I'm hoping that won't offend him. You guys, God has created humans to be curious. Oftentimes the tendency as Christians is we talk about how it can lead us to dangerous places. And the truth is it can. Just like relationships can. Just like jobs can. Just like money can. Just like anything can. God has created us to be curious. To leverage our curiosity towards the things of God. The way Jesus would put it, Jesus uses this word all the time. You know what he says? Seek. Seek. Be curious enough to come after me. So my question is, what are you curious about right now? One of the greatest marks of holy people in Scripture is their curiosity. What are you curious about? What are you seeking to learn? What are you seeking to do? Who are you seeking to know? Has the curiosity in you dried up? Faith like a child, curiosity like a child. What are you curious about now? Are you wasting your curiosity on things that are just stealing life from you? Habits, destructive patterns, destructive lifestyles. Or are you leveraging your curiosity towards things that God will breathe life into you through? Yes, curiosity can kill, but the lack of curiosity is just as lethal. Without curiosity, we will never love. We will never be known by God. We will never discover who we are and what we are good at. We will never process our pain. We will never find grace. Curiosity is one of the driving forces behind all these things. And fortunately for us, and by the way, this is a picture of my friend the cow. See him there on the couch, being a cow? So this thing happens with Moses. So he's sitting there and he's like, the bush is burning and it does not burn up. I must go see what is happening. And so Moses, he goes over to the bush, okay? He approaches this thing. He walks right up to it. And then all of a sudden, like the Morgan Freeman God voice cries out to him. Like forever, when I read Exodus, it's Morgan Freeman talking to me. It's like, oh my gosh, God's voice is in Scripture, Bruce Almighty, and Shawshank Redemption. He goes over. And I love what it says here. This is so important. And again, such a clear picture of how God interacts with us at times. It says this. This is very important. What are the first three words? The first three. When the Lord. It says, when the Lord saw that Moses came over, then he talked to him. When God sees that Moses is acting out of this curiosity and he approaches him, then he goes, now I'm going to talk to you. I wonder how many of us in here going, God doesn't talk to me, God doesn't talk to me, God doesn't talk to me. And God's going, well, maybe if you'd be curious enough to take 5 steps towards me, I would. For some of us in here, we wonder why we're not encountering God in powerful ways. And I wonder if God is going, you have lost your curiosity. God responds when Moses approaches him. And it's so cool. Instantly, this becomes holy ground. Let me tell you how far you have to go to find holy ground in your life. 1 step. The moment you seek God, and the moment God meets you, you know what it becomes? Holy ground. Holy ground. Holy ground. Holy ground isn't over there. It's not over there. It's right on the ground you are already standing if you would seek God. And Moses does. And so then Morgan Freeman, God, cries out to him. And he says, Moses, Moses. It has to be deep. Because if it was like Peter Brady, Moses, Moses, he'd be like, this is dumb. Yahweh, more like Yahweh. That's dumb. So he goes over and he cries out. He says, Moses. And then here's what happens. For so many of us in this room, I wonder if we aren't going, what is my dream? What do I want to do with my life? You know, we're 14, we're 17, we're 18. I'm 32. Some of us in here are late 30s, 40s, 50s. And for so many of us, we're probably still asking, what do I want my life to be about? Well, you know when Moses encounters this? Not as he chases a dream, it's as he encounters God. His dream becomes evident as he gets personal with God. God never says, go chase your dream. He says, you chase me, and your dreams will come. And so when he has this encounter, then God lays it out for him. And it's weird. It's like this bush starts talking. So I always imagine that scene from Three Amigos with the singing bush, you know? You guys haven't seen that? This is tragic, people. This is ridiculous. Go see it. So he starts talking to him out of the bush. And he starts painting for him this picture. He says, Moses, here's what you're going to do. Here's what you were born to do. Here's the dream for your life. And he tells him, you're going to go back to Egypt, and you're basically going to rescue all these people. You're going to lead them out of slavery. You're going to overthrow Pharaoh. You're going to take them to the promised land. It's amazing, right? God says, this is what your life is about. You have purpose. You have significance. You have uniqueness. And here's what you're going to do. And you know what Moses does? He doesn't want to hear it. So often, it's so weird. It's like we want our dreams, and yet we're terrified of them because we're so afraid of where that will lead if we really embrace it. And so Moses, he starts, if there's another shepherd walking by, I'd be like, who's the crazy guy talking to the bush? He's arguing with this bush. And God's like, this is what you're going to do. And Moses looks at the bush. He starts talking to God. He says, God, let me tell you a million reasons why that dream isn't good for me. I stutter. I'm a shepherd. I have a terrible reputation back in Egypt. And he keeps trying to make all these excuses. With the dreams that God has placed in your life, are you already making excuses? I'm not talented enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not connected enough. Lord, I've made mistakes. I'm not smart enough. Well, this is what Moses does. In so many words, he's saying, God, you should give this dream to someone else and give me a dream you have for someone over there. Moses, in effect, starts thinking that he should start pursuing someone else's dream. And as strange as this sounds, I think we do this all the time. See, because we live in a culture, and a culture kind of tells us, it says, this is a dream worth pursuing. Rock star, pro athlete, doctor, lawyer, Wheaton Academy worker, author. Those are good dreams. These other ones, not worth it. Not worth your time. Oh, you just want to be a loving person? That's dumb. Dream bigger. You just want to be a good father. You just want to be a good daughter. That's dumb. Dream bigger. And what we end up telling people is we say, no, you should pursue that person's dream. Be like them. For some of us in here, we're called to be doctors. We're wired to be artists. There's people in here that are going to have such a profound influence on the world. But I'll bet you for some of those people are going, yeah, but God, I should pursue that person's dream. It should be smaller. We do this as churches. My church is 50 people. That one's 5,000. We should be like them. We should build our atrium like them and have a cool thing, like the pastor comes swinging in on it, and then we should be like them. We should think like them. We should worship like them. We should do it like them. And God's going, what are you talking about? You guys, so often we get caught pursuing someone else's dream, and I want to tell you from someone who has done it for a long time, there is very little joy to be found in chasing somebody else's dream. Very, very, very little joy. I was with this pastor a couple weeks ago, and he's old and wears glasses on the end of his nose, and so I believed everything he said. And he sat there with me, and he put it to me this way. He goes, Josh, if God has created you to be a grave digger, don't stoop to be a king. Like, okay, Yoda. Like, he said that to me, but essentially what he's saying is the greatest thing you can ever do with your life is what you are wired to do. There is nothing greater. If God has wired you to be a grave digger, don't stoop to be a king. Is that what you're doing now? Whose dream are you pursuing? Is it yours or is it somebody else's? Do you see somebody? Let me ask you this. This is a great way to identify with it. Who are you jealous of right now? Is there somebody that you see in your life, a friend, and you're jealous? And you go, I want what they have. I want to be that. I want those opportunities. I want those gifts. I want those skills. Are you chasing somebody else's dream? We can spend our whole lives, instead of asking God to reveal to us who He's made us to be, asking Him to make us into somebody different. I want to tell you something. He will not do that. He will not do that. Because He made you for a reason. The way I would put it, I wrote this down one day. I think it was at like a napkin at like Dunkin' Donuts or something like that. But the way I put it is this. Who we are created to be is far more beautiful than anyone we could ever pretend to be. If you're pretending to be somebody else, it's not as beautiful as who God's made you to be. No matter what anybody else says. Who God's made you to be is the greatest version of you that will ever exist. And so, I know this guy, and his name is Dallas, and anyone named after a city you have to give respect to. And so he told me one time, he came to me, and I was like, what's kind of next season of your life look like? He goes, dude, I'm traveling the world to film a documentary. And immediately I'm like, this is awesome. This is cool. I want to do that. So he tells me this whole thing. He goes India, Africa, all over the world. Gets back. Him and I meet, and I'm like, dude, how was it? He was like, it was amazing. He's like, dude, it was so amazing. And I'm like, really? I'm like, so you're going to move to Hollywood and be a documentary filmmaker? And he goes, no. I'm like, what are you going to do? He goes, I'm going to be a carpenter. I was like, you're joining the band? Who's teaching history here? There was a band called the Carpenters. Ugh. So he says this to me. He's like, I'm going to be a carpenter. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean? I was like, dude, the dream. The dream. And he goes, you know what I realized, Josh? He said, God has created people to be documentary filmmakers. I'm just not one of them. You know what He's made me to do? He's made me to work with my hands and to make wood into art and to, when I give it to people, converse and give them something that they enjoy. And you know what struck me about that? And you know what to me was very convicting about that? Compared to the way we look at documentary filmmaker, Carpenter feels like a failure to so many people. Oh, I guess it didn't work out. He's a carpenter. You know why? Because it worked out. He chose not to chase somebody else's dream, but to chase his own. To chase God and say, God, what have you made me to do? And he's doing it. Another person, I have a sister. I have two. They both work here. The one's name is Corbett. The other one's name is Quinn. Mine is Josh. My parents gave me the shaft on my name. They're like, your name will be Knight Rider, and you will be Sunshine, and you will be Bill. A lot of you guys know my sister Corbett. You know, I've lived my whole life around her. She's wildly talented, as many of you know. She's incredibly gifted. And for a long time, my sister's dream was to be directing in New York on Broadway. It's a great dream. And in my opinion, and I haven't been in any Broadway plays yet, but in my opinion, I think she could do it. I believe she could fully do it. Well, a couple years ago, and you guys know some of the story, a couple years ago, she calls me and she's like, I'm pregnant. I was like, sweet, I'm going to be an uncle. Really pumped about it. The day of the delivery comes, I come up to Chicago. It was such a privilege to be here. Baby's born. It's totally amazing. You know, at some point during this experience, the doctor comes in and he says, there's some abnormalities with your son. And it's like, you know, it's like the worst word you could ever hear in the hospital, you know. And he kind of tells us what the options are. He says, your son either has Edwards syndrome, and if he does, he probably won't live beyond a year. He says, or he may have Down syndrome. And you know, if he does, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but we're not going to know for a while. So the next, 48 hours or whatever it was brutal. It was brutal for me. Chris and my wife, we were both there. I really can't fathom what it was like for Corbin and Josh. But doctor comes back in, a couple days later, and he goes, well, I've got some news. It's like one of those like life or death moments. You just feel it, And he goes, your son does not have Edwards syndrome. He goes, but he does have Down syndrome. And it was so cool because immediately when I heard it, I saw Corbett and Josh Burek, and it wasn't in their eyes, oh, we have a son with Down syndrome. It was, we have a son. That's all it was. It wasn't, oh, we didn't get the Ferrari son. We got a son. And it was so epic. And so they have this wonderful boy. And then my sister calls me, I don't know, it was maybe like a year and a half, I guess it was about a year and a half later or something like that. She's like, I know what I'm supposed to do with my life. And I'm like, here we go, Broadway. I'll dress as a cat and be a backup dancer. My wife is here and she's like, oh gosh, unfriend, #stupid. But Corbett calls me and she goes, I know what I'm supposed to do with my life. I know God is revealing this dream to me and Josh Burek. And I go, what is it? I was like, Broadway? And then she told me about this guy. She told me about Vlad. Vlad's the Russian bulldog on the right. And you know what she said? She goes, you know what? Broadway's great. For some people, that's why they're here. That's what they're created to do. And she goes, but it's not why I'm here. And so then her and Josh go on this like spy mission to get Vlad and bring him back. And you can go ask her. You can go ask her what dream is more fulfilling. If she was pursuing somebody else's, or if she embraced her own. And her and Josh, they both said, this is the dream. And it might not be yours, and it might not be yours, but it's ours. It's what we're created to do. And through it, God shines. and through it they find joy. And I see it all the time. It's pretty amazing. And fortunately for us, I guess, Moses eventually was like, all right, God, I'm out of excuses. He ends up like bartering with God. He's like, okay, I'll go, but can you throw in Aaron? They have like this, I'll raise you Aaron and give us a cool robe. Teach us magic, get a staff. Look at my hand. Ooh, leper not. Shadow. But Moses, he ends up going, okay, God, I'm going to do it. And so he embraces this man that God has made him to be, just like I hope you embrace who God has made you to be. And then he rides off into the sunset. It's all smooth sailing after that. Oh, wait. You know what happens? He embraces the man he's meant to be, and then immediately it gets very, very, very hard. I think sometimes as Christians we tell ourselves fictional tales, and we think that if we embrace who God has made us to be, it's going to be easy and simple, and the floodgates will open, and there won't be resistance. That's false. Moses says, okay, God, and immediately he goes to Pharaoh. Pharaoh doesn't let the people go. In fact, Pharaoh gets mad at Moses to the point that he punishes the Israelites. He says, okay, you're going to make your bricks without straw. And to me, that really makes no sense, because I don't make bricks or like play with straw. But it's basically like saying make cars without steel. He's like, see how that goes. And so then the people turn against Moses. The people he's supposed to, he's trying to be the guy he's meant to be, and nobody wants him to be that. They're all going, we don't want you to be the guy you're meant to be. We don't want you to be that because it's only making our lives harder. And then Moses, eventually the people get out, and it gets harder, and it gets harder, and it's harder. But Moses does something that most people will never do. And I really mean this. He does something most people will never do. You know what he does? He keeps going. He chooses not to quit on becoming the man God has made him to be. He keeps going. He blows it. He screws up. He drops the ball. I mean, he's shafting it right and left, but he keeps going. I think I mentioned a comment to you last time I was here. I want to say it to you now. By the way, that's not a real photograph of them. There was a guy. There once was a man. And this guy, he woke up one morning and he said, I need to go and find what a dreamer looks like. So I need to go and find what a real dreamer looks like because I don't know what they look like. And so he finds this ladder that leads into the sky. And he climbs it all the way up because he'd always been told that dreamers live with their heads in the clouds. And he wandered around the clouds going, surely dreamers are here. And he saw these people, and their lives were easy, and everything went smoothly. But as he looked at them further and further and further and took a closer and closer and closer look, he realized that they weren't actually dreamers. They were something else. They were people who dreamed when it was easy. They were people who dreamed as long as things went their way. He realized he would never find a dreamer in the clouds, so he left and he began to climb down this ladder. And as he's climbing down the ladder, all of a sudden he hears this scream come from above him. And this guy comes sailing by him, almost knocks him off the ladder. He goes flying by. He disappears into the clouds beneath him, screaming. And so the guy on the ladder climbs down as quickly as he can. He gets back down to the ground. And he goes looking around for this guy. And he finds him laying on his back in a swamp. And he runs over to the guy to see if he's okay. But before he can even get there, the guy has gotten up, rolled over, and he's now crawling through the swamp. And so the guy who's searching for the dreamer stops him and he goes, what, dude, point of order, you just fell like 1 billion feet. I mean, I didn't see anything to trip over up there. How in the world did you fall? And he looks up at him and he's got mud on his face and he goes, I didn't fall. I jumped. And he goes, why would you jump? Your life was so easy up there. Why would you jump? And he goes, because dreamers don't live in the clouds. Dreamers live in the swamp. Dreamers aren't people who have their head in the sky. They are people who are willing to crawl. He said, I want to be a true dreamer, a God definition dreamer. And so he started crawling. And then the guy who was in search of the dreamer got down next to him and crawled beside him. You guys, if you choose to become the person God has created you to be, it will be hard. And it will require you to crawl. It will require struggle. And often in my life, I have to ask myself, am I willing to crawl to become the man I'm meant to be? If your life is hard right now, crawl. If you feel like you're not becoming more loving, crawl. If you feel like your career ambitions are fading, crawl. If you feel like you just can't overcome that destructive habit, crawl. It's no accident. I don't think it's any accident that God invites us into dreams that are very difficult, because through the process of getting there, we become different people. That's exactly what changes us. The arrival at the destination doesn't change us. It's the process of getting there. Dreamers aren't people who just want to do something significant. We talk about that all the time. Do something significant, do something significant, do something significant. Dreamers aren't just people who want to do something significant. They're people who are passionate about having something significant done in them. And that happens while we crawl in the mud. That's when it happens. Are you willing to crawl? God's inviting you to crawl. Moses kept going, and by the end of his life, he's still a hero and a monster, but he is different. He is different, and he dies with intimacy with God. He dies a broken man who lived a full life with God. You guys, that's who I want to be when I go. I've given up on perfection, but I can crawl my way to intimacy with God every day. The real difference between humans and cows is that God has created us to dream and cows to graze. So as you leave here this morning, ask yourself, are you living more as a human or a cow? Let me pray. God, thanks for this day. Thanks for letting me be here. God, thank you for Wheaton Academy. And God, all the things that you are doing in this place. Thank you, God, for the ways that you are using individuals. God, for the things you're teaching us, for the ways you inspire us. God, give us courage. May we be people of staggering curiosity, Lord, pointed at you. God, may we be people, Lord, who don't settle for the dreams of others, God, but settle and embrace the dreams you've placed in our own hearts. And God, may we be people like Moses who are willing to crawl in order to become the people we are meant to be. Thanks for this day, Lord.